In today's episode, and there is a lot to get through, Kulusevski has said things aren't good enough at the moment at Tottenham, things must improve. Reports are stating that Manor Solomon's choice is to stay at Elland Road to join Leeds United on a permanent transfer in the summer. The Athletic have stated it is increasingly likely that Ange Postecoglou will leave Spurs in the summer, and Ange Postecoglou knows what's coming. Pundit Micah Richards has said Ange Postecoglou isn't himself. Spurs are a shadow of the team that they were. Sky Sports have stated there is interest from Tottenham in Bournemouth's Dean Howson. Reports are stating that Spurs like Scott Parker if Ange Postecoglou was to leave the football club in the near future. Reports are stating that Fiorentina star Dodo is of interest to Tottenham Hotspur. Reports are stating that Spurs like Marcus Rashford, they are ready to pounce if Aston Villa don't sign him on a permanent deal in the summer. A former Tottenham Hotspur midfielder has come out and said if Ange Postecoglou wins the Europa League for Spurs, he should keep his job. The Daily Mail has stated that Atletico Madrid are setting sights on £43 million Christian Romero. Romero has just done an interview with a broadcaster in Argentina and has said, one day I want to play in La Liga. Former Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Danny Murphy has come out and said 18 league defeats is why Ange Postecoglou is set to leave the football club. And Destiny Udogie has come out and said it's been a tough season, but Europa League success would change everything. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all keeping well. My name is Chris Cowlin, and this is another edition of Tottenham News, where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do that follow button and leave a review if you can. Hi everyone, before we get into it, I'd just like to tell you about a brand new app. It's called Match Bingo. You can play along with live sports and Spurs matches, and you could win cash prizes. Watch your card fill up in real time whilst watching Tottenham. Make sure that you get your bingo card for our next game. Click on the link in the description or via the QR code. Real sports, real bingo, great prizes. Enjoy. Let's start with a report from The Athletic, and it has been written by David Ornstein. He has been talking about Tottenham and boss Ange Postecoglou. He has stated a number of us have been reporting for quite some weeks now that Ange Postecoglou is increasingly likely to depart in the summer, and Tottenham making a change in the dugout. That has been reinforced by the reports from the Daily Telegraph and from the Daily Mail. And you know the writing does appear to be on the wall as a result of a disastrous season domestically by Tottenham standards. David Ornstein then goes on to say they will still hope to win the Europa League, which of course would be absolutely massive, not just in terms of a trophy, but qualification for the Champions League. Those reports do point out, though, that he could retain his job if a trophy is lifted. That said, it doesn't guarantee it. He may go regardless, and I think, judging by his comments in a number of press conferences, he probably knows what is coming. Former Premier League defender, now TV and radio pundit, Micah Richards has been talking about Spurs and Ange Postecoglou. He said the manager is getting involved in press conferences, not being himself, biting back and all of that. But actually, if you look on the field, forget off the field for a moment, they are a shadow of the team that they were. Micah Richards then goes on to say that I have been a big admirer of Ange Postecoglou for a while, and that was because of Chris Sutton. This is even before he went to Celtic. Chris Sutton spoke about him when he was in Japan, so I studied him. I studied his style of play. It was aggressive. It was forward-thinking. It was taking risks. Okay, they take risks when they're conceding goals, but they aren't finishing their chances. A report has just been published by Give Me Sport, all about Tottenham's Manor Solomon, currently on loan at Leeds United. They have stated that Everton will struggle to convince Tottenham's Manor Solomon to join as they prepare to move from Goodison Park to their new stadium at Bramley Moor Dock, and Southampton are also facing an uphill battle to make him a St Mary's recruit, as his preference is to complete a permanent switch to Leeds United from Tottenham Hotspur this coming summer. Sky Sports have just reported that Bournemouth are braced for interest in Dean Howson this summer, with 5 Premier League clubs, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, keen on the defender. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur are the English clubs thought to be looking at Howson. The 20-year-old is understood to have a release clause of around £50 million in his contract. Now, Give Me Sport, Team Talk and Football Transfers have all reported that Spurs could be looking to sign Marcus Rashford in the summer if Aston Villa do not activate their buy option. The reports have stated that Spurs have identified Marcus Rashford as a target for the summer transfer window. They were keen on signing the England international in January before opting to sign Matisse Tell on loan from Bayern Munich. But should Aston Villa decide against activating their buy option, there is a strong likelihood that the North London club seriously consider a move. The report states that Rashford's possible arrival at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium would not be dependent on whether Tell's option to buy is activated, as Tottenham want both players in the first team squad for next season. But the problem for Tottenham in regards to Rashford is that they could find it tough to sign him, even if Aston Villa pass on the opportunity to make his loan deal into a permanent one, as recent reports have stated that the Manchester United-owned winger would prioritise a move to Barcelona in the summer if he were to return to Old Trafford. Former Spurs midfielder and TalkSport pundit Jamie O'Hara has come out and said if Ange Postecoglou wins the Europa League, then he keeps his job. It will be one of the biggest things Spurs have ever done. And the Daily Mail have just reported that former Spurs midfielder Scott Parker has admirers at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, while Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola and Fulham's Marco Silva are expected to be the leading candidates if Ange Postecoglou does leave Tottenham Hotspur in the near future. The Daily Telegraph have also reported about Ange Postecoglou. They are stating that Ange Postecoglou is set to leave Tottenham in the summer, regardless of whether Spurs lift the Europa League or not. Danny Murphy has been talking to the Daily Mail. He has stated that Tottenham don't go into games with a defensive plan under inflexible Ange Postecoglou, and opponents love playing against them. In isolation, Tottenham were not horrendous against Nottingham Forest. They were undone by 2 early mistakes, which allowed Nuno Espirito Santo's side to sit back and defend a record number of crosses. Danny Murphy also said Ange Postecoglou's biggest problem, however, is that Monday's 2-1 defeat is far from an isolated occurrence. It was Tottenham's 18th league loss of the season, which is why he seems set to leave the club. The Spurs under-21s have been invited to play the Brentford B team on Monday the 19th of May at the G-Tech Community Stadium, 7 p.m. kickoff. This is the Brentford's annual Robert Rowan Invitational match. Destiny Udogie has come out and said it's been a tough season, but Europa League success would change everything. Now, defender Christian Romero a couple of days ago did an interview with Argentina broadcaster TYC Sport. He stated, "We are in the semi-finals of the Europa League and I want to finish the season on a high note. After that, we will see. My focus is always on growing and looking for new places and to continue to develop. La Liga is a league I would like to play in the future." The Daily Mail have just reported that Atletico Madrid have set sights on £43 million summer move for Tottenham Hotspur star Christian Romero. The defender is open to leaving Tottenham this summer after 4 years, and Atletico Madrid want to conclude a deal for him before the start of the Club World Cup. AS in Spain have just reported that Spurs are interested in signing Fiorentina star Dodo at the end of the season. They have made an inquiry about a summer move. The 26-year-old has provided 5 assists in all competitions this season. He is capable of playing as a fullback as well as a winger. The South American star has been previously been linked with a move to Newcastle. AS have also stated that Barcelona are interested in signing the Brazilian star as well, and they are currently in pole position to secure his signature. Fiorentina are asking for around €25 million, but he could be tempted to a move to the Premier League. The 26-year-old has proven himself in Italy, and he has the physicality and technical attributes to do well in the Premier League. Tottenham Hotspur star Kulleski has spoken out after Spurs lost 2-1 at home against Nottingham Forest on Monday evening. Of course, Spurs are 16th in the Premier League table. He said this year, we cannot say that we're prepared for it because we had so many injuries and we did a lot of things wrong from the beginning of the season and we are paying for it now. After big nights like Thursday, you always go down. That is why teams who are in more competitions are paying a price. We're not handling it right. We're not handling it well, because after 16 minutes we conceded 3 goals with the offside goal. Then it's hard to win football matches. It is not good enough. The manager said the first 15 minutes cost us the game with the corners and free kicks. It is not good enough. We have to improve. Kulusevski then went on to say, we've got to improve from crosses. I know that we defended well on Thursday, but we concede far too many crosses and everyone must take responsibility and ask themselves why we concede so many crosses. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode. Let's start by talking about Kulusevski's comments. Things aren't good enough. Things must improve. I tell you what, another defeat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and there have been a lot. We are breaking unwanted records week by week under Postecoglou, and this season could go down as the most defeats ever in a league season. That's how bad our league season has been. It has been horrific. However, we are in the semi-finals of the Europa League. It is such a weird situation to be in, the way that a lot of fans seem to be cheering on Europa League nights and then they go very quiet when it comes to Premier League games. And, I've seen a lot of negativity about the Liverpool game on Sunday. I understand some of the comments because, of course, we don't travel very well to Anfield. The last time we won there was May 2011, and we do have a horrendous record at Anfield, Liverpool. And let's face it, we've conceded 10 goals against them this season as well. 4 in the League Cup in the second leg, and 6 at home in the Premier League when we lost 6-3. It's going to be a very tough game, but Kulusevski said things aren't good enough, things must improve. We have been saying that as Spurs fans for months about our league record. But as I say, it's such a weird situation how we are in the semi-finals of the Europa League, so you've got to stay positive for that. Of course, big games coming up, and I know a lot of Tottenham Hotspur fans that have booked the final, booked their flights for the final because they feel confident that Spurs are going to go through past Bodo Glimt. Of course, that is not going to be an easy game. Or easy 2 games. Of course, the first one at home, second one away. It's going to be difficult. But a lot of people feel confident in Spurs because we see a very different Spurs team in the Europa League to what we've seen in the Premier League. But Postecoglou did say and has said a number of times, when I get all of my players back, we are going to be an outstanding team. And I feel like we haven't seen that outstanding team for quite some time. And it brings me nicely on to talk about Micah Richards' comment saying that Ange isn't himself. Spurs are a shadow of the team that they were. I could not agree more of that. Ange seems very, very different. He seems very, very distant, I think the right word is to use. I feel like he seems very distant with, not that he really likes or wants to be in these press conferences, but he seems very different in them. He doesn't really talk about the fans anymore. Whenever anyone mentions about the fans, he wants to get off the subject really quickly. I feel like the fans have annoyed him in some way. And he just wants to get on with his job. And there is a lot of noise at the moment, a lot of negativity in the press, a lot of negativity amongst the fan base, etc. And he is just trying to stay positive with him, with his coaching staff and his squad for this very, very important semi-final, which is very, very important to the football club, I might add. He may even feel that his writing is on the wall and he's going to go out the door no matter what happens, because that's what a lot of the reports have stated. Is it right that Ange Postecoglou leaves the football club if he wins us the Europa League? I feel like that needs an episode on its own to have that argument, and perhaps we'll do a fan show in a couple of days' time to talk about that exact subject, because it's going to be a very interesting one. Things are never, ever straightforward when it comes to Spurs. We could finish just above the relegation zone in 17th, but be playing Champions League football next season. Madness, crazy. But whatever happens, Spurs need decent transfer windows. I say this all the time. Dejan Kulusevski has pretty much said that we didn't prepare for the season, very well. I said this at the start of, or even before the season started, that I felt like we needed a little bit more experience in there. Yes, we've had a lot of injuries, but you can't just blame the injuries. A lot of teams have injuries, and sometimes you just need to find a way to win. And I could sit here all night and give real good pros and cons about Ange Postecoglou. I've really wanted it to work. Will it work under Ange Postecoglou? Will Spurs be a successful team under Ange Postecoglou if he was to stay for another year? The league season has just been so bad. So bad. And, some people have been saying, well, if Spurs were in the Champions League this season, we'd have got absolutely battered and hammered by some of these teams. Part of me thinks, I really want to see a season with Ange Postecoglou with a full-strength squad and real good depth in this squad because, Micah Richards said there, Spurs are a shadow of the team that they were. We were a really good team to watch last season. That first 10 games, absolutely brilliant. Of course, we had the injuries, we had the suspensions, other issues, players going off on international duty, etc. And it just seemed to disrupt it, and we haven't had that level. Some people would say, well, Ange Postecoglou's been found out, hasn't got a plan B, blah, 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 blah. You could go on all night. I could be sitting here, giving pros, giving cons about Ange Postecoglou and his style, etc. But I've really wanted it to work, and I wish him all of the very best for the Europa League. I'm staying positive. I really want Spurs to go on and win the Europa League. I know a lot of fans at the moment who have booked their flights, and they feel very positive that Spurs are going to actually go on to win this trophy. And we must stay positive as a fan base and support the team throughout these last league games. Until the end of the season, I feel like they are going to be very, very difficult games, and I feel like Ange Postecoglou will probably approach them very differently to how he will approach the Europa League games, because he wants that European success. Of course, it is the time where we're going to hear a lot of transfer rumours. We're interested in Dean Howson of Bournemouth at the moment. A lot of clubs are interested in him. More reports are coming out stating that Christian Romero, could be going to Atletico Madrid for £43 million. I don't think it's going to be any surprise to see Christian Romero leave Tottenham Hotspur Football Club this coming summer. I feel like it is a move that he desperately wants. And, if a player doesn't want to be there, then there's no point keeping hold of them. They need to go. And we need other players to come in, and you always want players to want to play for your football club, not looking elsewhere, or certainly not doing interviews saying that I'd like to be playing in another league somewhere down the line. I thought that was very unprofessional, actually, particularly someone who's been wearing the armband in the last couple of games. Very disappointed with that, actually. But apparently Spurs are interested in Fiorentina star Dodo, and Marcus Rashford. Spurs are ready to pounce if Aston Villa don't sign him on a permanent basis in the summer. I said before, I feel like Rashford has so much more to give. He's done a fairly decent job at Aston Villa so far. Emery really likes him, and Watkins has been on the bench, in recent games because Rashford has been there. I feel like he's got a lot to give. Will he be in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt? I doubt it, because his wage demands are so high, and we all know that he wanted that move to Barcelona. So if he doesn't sign for Aston Villa on a permanent deal, it looks very highly likely that he'll go to Barcelona or a top European club, playing Champions League football. That's exactly what he will want. It's going to be an interesting summer, as I said. There could be a lot of changes at Spurs. If Ange Postecoglou goes out the door, a lot of the backroom staff will go as well, and it will be another major rebuild at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, which, of course, we go again. It's the same old thing, and as I've said on many, many episodes, I feel like we need to do things differently as a football club to save us keep going round in circles again and again. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.